Hello, legends, and welcome to the Ruck Report. This is another episode. I'm just inviting my co-host in tonight. It was in Rugby League. We'll talk some big things that happened, some things that didn't. And here he is, my special guest for today, the one and only Mr. Day One, Doug Allen. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Mate, I am fantastic. Great to have you here. For those tuning in for the first time, welcome to the Ruck Report. It is our review show for the week that was of Rugby League. Of course, round 26. What a fantastic round. Quick shout out to Vintage Lane Clothing, who gave me this awesome Australia jersey. As you can see, got the old VB logo on there. So, shout out to Vintage Lane Clothing. Go and check them out on Instagram. Pretty awesome clothing there, Rugby League, and lots of retro stuff that you can find. All right, Dougie, let's get straight into it, mate. Thursday night footy now. This was an absolute cracker. The Bulldogs against the Panthers. When I say the Panthers, I mean a B-side, a second-string Panthers outfit that decided to rest 16 players. Look, Bulldogs winning 28-4, but it was sort of a game where I expected a lot more from the Dogs. I probably expected them to score 40, 50 against this outfit that Penrith put out. And I think a lot of people were in the same boat. You know, a lot of people expected this Penrith B side to not really compete. You know, they were playing with their New South Wales Cup side. And it sort of got me to a stage at the end of the game where I just said, I don't know if Dogs can go deep into finals, because that sort of performance is one that they should have put to bed and they just couldn't, mate.
No, not at all. Like you said before, everyone expected them to, come out and put a lot more points on this
Mm,
Panthers side. And credit to that Panthers side. Like they didn't play, the best footy, but
yeah.
they stopped a lot of points that were expected to be put on them. So
It's an interesting one because a lot of people talk about, is it the right thing to rest players, this late in the season? Ivan's done it for years, and I don't have anything, I don't have any issues with it at all. And I think, if he wants to, if he wants to do that this late in the season and not make fifth or sixth position or whatever, then he's entitled to do that. And I think
yeah,
and that's what they did. Like they're probably going to finish seventh at this stage, depending if they win this week, if Roosters lose. So, look, they're going to finish seventh. They want to win it from outside the eight, and if there's a team that can do it, it's probably Penrith. But look, it was a game that yeah, not many people expect. I actually tipped Penrith in this game, thinking that they'd get a win, but it wasn't to be. If you are in the comments, don't forget, please throw your comments in. We'll answer as we go. Uh, Bulldogs fans, I want to ask you, if you're in the comments, what do you think about the Dogs' chances heading into the finals? Are you happy? Is there anything that you would change this season? Lockie Galvin, keeping Toby Sexton, anything you'd change? Let us know in the comments. All right, mate, let's jump into some Friday night footy now. The first game, the Wars against the Eels. Eels getting it done 26-22. They've left their run too late. They've won 2 games in a row, beat the Roosters convincingly last week. Now to beat the Wars.
mm.
Mate, why'd they leave it so late in the season?
Oh mate, who knows? Like they've only just finally figured out how to play footy. Yeah, it's good to see, but like you said, just
Mm.
a bit too late.
Yeah, it is, and I think they're sort of building for that. For they want to create that dynasty. They've got
Mm.
Jason Riles as their coach now, who he's doing really good things there. He's recruiting really well, and he's doing good things for Parramatta. Parramatta fans, what are your thoughts on Riles at the moment? Let us know in the comments what you think. But I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing from them. Mitch Moses is an absolute star, so I think if you build a team around Moses, you're going to go far. This game
The
was
biggest
marred by.
question, well, the
Sorry,
biggest
mate.
question is can they back this up
Mm.
into next season? Like it's all well and good to finish this season off strong. Yes, you're not going to make the finals, and you're showing good signs, but are you able
Yeah.
to carry that on into the next season? So
Yeah, 100%. I
be
think that I
interesting.
think that's the big thing for Parramatta. They haven't won a comp since '86, so it's been a long time for them.
Mm,
That's what they're chasing. That's what they're chasing. I think it's closer than a lot of people think. I reckon Parra could win a comp by 2030.
mm,
So that's 5 years away. I just think Jason Riles is the right coach to take them in that direction. Parra fans have been loving me at the moment. But mate, we'll jump into our second Friday night game of the round. Melbourne Storm against the Sydney Roosters. Now, obviously everyone knows I'm a mad Chookies man myself. At halftime,
Well, are
Storm
you?
up. Yeah, I am, mate. Yeah, yeah. For those that don't know, obviously don't follow the podcast. Halftime, 10-0 to Melbourne. I was in the corner, rocking in the fetal position, thinking, here's another one. We're going to miss finals. Well, enter the second half and enter Mark Nwangani Tawaze, mate. 4 tries, Marky Mark. What a freak. Is there anything this guy can't do?
Oh, mate, like he's just next level. Like you said, there's not much he can't do.
He's so good. He's so good. I just can't believe we didn't get this guy in rugby league earlier. Shout
Yeah.
out to Vintage Lane Clothing here to check the jersey out. Yes, mate, rocking it for you this evening. It's a fantastic jersey. So gave you a shout out, mate. Head over to Vintage Lane Clothing and check them out. Shout out to Phoenix Welsh. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining. Mick Makes Art is in here as well. Of course, our wonderful Cheggers who runs our social media account. All right. The Roosters now getting it done 40-10. Big second half for them, 40-0. So
Mm.
Melbourne Storm not scoring a point in that second half. And Bellamy's 600th game. Quite disappointing for Melbourne. Yes, they rested 7 or 8 players. And, a lot of people are saying, how would it be if it was full strength against full strength? Well, 5 weeks ago, Roosters Melbourne played and it was 34-30 to Melbourne. And it was full strength against full strength. They lost Jerome Hughes early and Harry Grant put us to the sword. So we're only 1 try off in that game, so I don't think it would have been too different. I think the Roosters, after that loss against Parramatta, the Roosters were here to play, and I think
Oh yeah.
they needed that win against Melbourne. Haven't had a very good record against them for a long time, so
The only thing I want a recording of is the spray at full
oh,
time.
oh, oh,
Oh, in that shed, some spit would have been flown.
mate, the players are still there. They didn't want to go home. They didn't want to return to training this week. They said
Too
we'll just stay
scared.
in the sheds and
Too
hide.
scared to move.
Oh mate, bellyache would have went off. It's the biggest halftime deficit I think. Sorry, full time deficit they've ever recorded, like in one half. So
Mm.
pretty crazy scenes there. It's the first. Mark Nwangani is the first Roosters player as well to score 4 tries against the Melbourne Storm. So
Yeah.
incredible effort. He's just such a freak, Marky Mark, and but credit to the whole team. Teddy was really good in this game as well. And they didn't go left at all. So Daniel Tupou and Billy Smith, they're out there playing cards. They had a really quiet night, but it was all the right edge getting it done. Here he is, Luke, Melbourne Storm fan. How are you, mate? Great timing. We just were talking about the Melbourne and Roosters game. You would have loved that, mate. Fantastic game for you. So if you are tuning in, I can see you just joined there. Shout out, mate. Look, Melbourne, they'll bounce back. They'll bounce back. They got the Broncos this week. As a Storm fan, that hurts. He wrote, "Yeah, mate. Yeah, exactly." Quick shout out to Jersey Kings, of course. Sorry, Jersey Day coming up this week. Going to be fantastic. Friday, the 5th of September. We are ambassadors for Jersey Day, so stay tuned. There's going to be an awesome video out this week as well in honor of Jersey Day. So check that out on our social media
Yeah.
and accounts there. All right, let's jump into some Saturday footy now. The first game, the Raiders against the West Tigers, GIO Stadium in Canberra, nice and cold. It was a beautiful track for a Saturday afternoon, but the Raiders just too classy in the end, defeating the West Tigers and taking home the JJ Gilliton Shield and winning the minor premiership. Luke Melbourne Storm fan said, but we did have 8 players out. Yeah, mate, I know. I've heard the excuses. You still had Munster, you still had a lot of players, mate. We had Sammy Walker out, so we'll claim that. Uh, Saturday game, Raiders v Tigers. I thought the Raiders were really, really good, and they've been good all year, mate. They've been really, really classy.
So it's funny, like they have been, and I was actually so annoyed with this game because I was early in the week. I was like, oh, I'll tip the Tigers for an upset, and I think we got half an hour out from kickoff, and I've gone into the I tip footy app. I was like, nah, I'm changing my tip. Changed the tip, but I didn't submit it.
Oh no.
So my tip stayed with the Tigers. I was filthy. I was like, yes, that's another one right. And I had a look and I was like, oh fuck, I got it wrong. I was like, no.
Yeah,
So,
look,
yeah.
it was a tough day to be a Tigers fan. We know a lot
Mm.
of them. Shout out to all our Tigers fans. Of course, Fuki on the pod, the stats man. He was actually at the game. Went out to Canberra to
You
watch
wasted your time, mate.
Yes, he did, to watch his beloved Tigers lose. But I mean, look, I don't think the Raiders were ever going to lose this. When there was a chance to win the minor premiership, I think they
Yeah.
were always going to play hard to win that. And bro, it's their first minor premiership since 1994. In 1994, their halfback was Ricky Stewart, who is now their coach,
Mm.
and they won the comp that year too. So, there's lots of omens there for the Raiders. Can they do it again? Time will tell. But I thought they've just had a really good year. And look, I've got a bit of egg on my face, and I think a few people do this season. I know at the start of the year in my Raiders preview, I had them bottom four.
Yeah.
I had them with, not much experience in their team. I didn't think they'd go as far as they have. So, look, shout out to Ricky, shout out to the Raiders. But there's something in the milk up there in Canberra because they're absolutely flying.
Yeah, mate. They've done really well this season. I'm keen to see how far they go.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, second Saturday game, another classic game. The Dragons against Manly. Now, this for us on the podcast was the Saints versus Checkers Cup, of course. Josh, the Saint Bradley, he's a mad Dragons fan. And then Mick Checkers, he's a mad Manly fan, of course. So we had a little podcast cup going on there. Of course,
Yeah.
Manly getting it done in a big way in this one, 40 to
Mm.
24. Now,
Mm.
40-28 it might have been, sorry. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But this was a huge game. Now, I actually tipped the Dragons in this one. I thought Manly the week before were really, really good for DC's 350th game against the Dolphins, but I thought maybe being a milestone game, like the next week, they'll die back off because they haven't been that great before that. They got up again. Mick Makes Art said, still in the comp. That's it. You only need to win by 82 points this week to make the eight. So still in it, mate. Still in it. Uh, but shout out to all those Manly fans that still have hope. You got to have hope in this comp. But look, I thought Manly were really, really good. I thought Cherry Evans was really good, considering the criticism that he's received this season and probably over the past few weeks. All the talk about him going to the Chooks, and everyone said, "Oh, his heart's not in it anymore. He's completely out of it." I thought he was great in this game. Manly fans, I want to hear from you in the comments. Mick, you can attest to this, but who has been your shining light this year? Who's been a player that's really stood up for you that you might not have seen in other years? I think Cooler's been really good for you guys. The speed that he possesses, he's been electric. But is there a player that has been a shining light in a other what dismal season? Let us know in the comments. Doug, the
Mm.
Dragons, mate, they just haven't been able to go on with it this year. They've had plenty of starts, but just not. This is the sort of game the Dragons play, just like this, where they look so good and then they just die off and they can't recover.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just well, I don't want to say an ill-trained side because like
Yeah,
the coach that they've got, he's an experienced coach, but
yeah,
it's like the fatigue gets to them before
mm,
the full time whistle, and they're not playing a full 80 minutes of football because it
yeah.
almost looks like they just can't. Um, yeah, there's some big issues there. Like you said, they come out, they look strong, and they just like wilter away.
Yep. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I got to agree with that. Mick makes cut at Seabold. Is that your shining light this year, mate? That's an interesting choice there, your coach. I don't know if he's been great. Lehigh has had a ripper of a season. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Lehigh Hopewadi, he's been really, really good. But shout out to Manly. I think they've had a year that they probably wish they could have done a few things better. But all in all, it hasn't been too bad. Finishing ninth in the regular season, well, ninth or 10th, depending on results next week, is not too bad at all. On the other hand, the Dragons, look, they've had games that they should have won. They've had some incredible games, beat Melbourne earlier in the season, and just looked really, really good. And then they've had games where they, had 40 put on them against the Bunnies last week, and you just go, this is not the same Dragon side from a couple of weeks ago. So, moving forward, where to for Dragons fans? If you're a Dragons fan in the comment, please let us know where to next for them because at the moment doesn't look too good. But let's jump into our last Saturday game. It was the Queensland Derby, the Cowboys against the Broncos, our favourite stadium up there at Queensland Country Bank Arena. Fantastic ground up in Townsville. Now, Doug, you and I tuned into this late in the second half. Obviously, watched the game, but you and I actually tuned in together late in the second half. Now,
Mm.
Broncos, mate, getting the win, 38-30, but not convincing at all.
No, well, like I said, I tuned in probably with 20 minutes to go.
Mm.
Yeah, didn't get a whole lot of watching that game, but yeah, it wasn't convincing at all. There were some worrying signs in that game in particular.
Yeah, for a team that's obviously like challenging for the top four as well, and I
Mm.
think have a really good chance of finishing fourth. They got to do better than that. I mean, I know the Cowboys. It's always a great Queensland derby there, and you know it's always a good game, but it's just yeah, it's a really strange one for me.
This
Like
this late in the season, like that, it's a lot of points scored and not a very big margin
yeah,
between the two. Like
yeah, for sure, for
yeah,
sure.
it wasn't like I said, a lot of points scored, but it wasn't a good game of football. Like
And
for
heading into finals, you especially if you're a top four side, you need to be playing that defensive sort of footy. You want to show teams that you're a force to be reckoned with come finals. But I mean, look, shout out to our Broncos fans. I saw the Bump Out podcast boys have joined. Shout out to Shorty Hayden, who is a mad Broncos fan. But I just don't know how deep they can go at the moment. I just
mm.
think they really like. I love Reece Walsh in attack, but sometimes he's so rocks and diamonds. He's got so many great plays in his arsenal, and then he's just got some dumb stuff. Like we were watching the game, and he caught
Oh,
the
when
ball
he
and ran
yeah, he
out.
just ran out. Yeah,
We had
I,
no idea what was
that was
going on. Like
first thing I said to you last night. I was like, "What is Walsh doing? Like, what was
match
that?"
fixing.
Yeah, like 100% looked like it.
Bump Out podcast. All you need to do is score more points, lads. Look, you are right, mate. You are right. And I guess come grand final day, if you score more points, you win, don't you? But yeah, it's just I don't know. I personally, I think it's worrying signs. Madge Maguire, we saw at halftime, was absolutely going off at the Bronx. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they come out next week against Melbourne. And I think Melbourne won't rest any players next week, and it's going to be a fantastic clash. But look, Cowboys, their season's over. They got the bye round 27. So you know they've had I'd say a mediocre year compared to their standards.
Yeah.
Bump Out podcast. Hopefully, diamonds and diamonds from now on. Exactly, mate. Hopefully, for your sake. Hopefully, Reece Walsh is diamonds and diamonds. Cowboys, yeah. Look, a mediocre season where it's probably what I expected from the Cows this year. To be honest, I didn't really
Mm.
expect them to be challenging for the eight. I didn't expect them to be bottom four. You know, just in that 10th to 12th spot, which I think they're sitting 12th at the moment. So it's pretty standard where I saw them this year. I don't know what they need, mate, but they lose Reece Robson next year, and they look like they're gaining Reed Marnie. So interesting. You know, they're getting a hooker. They really need a quality 5'8". Of course, they got Tommy Dearden, who's fantastic, but I see Tommy Dearden more as their half. Clifford's been all right for them this year, but I just think they need a quality 5'8" to partner Dearden in the
Mm.
halves. But let's jump into some Sunday Arvo footy, mate. Now, for those who don't know you, Dougie, you are a mad Sharks man, and your
Yeah.
Sharks took on the Newcastle Knights, and mate, worrying signs early for your Sharks. They were down 10-0 to start with, and I thought, here we go. These are the
Yeah.
games the Sharks lose. But mate, credit to them, they fought back and had a good win.
Oh, mate, that's where I messaged you. I was like, "What's going on? Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing?" But they no, they came back and they came back well. 40 points.
Yeah,
Put 40 points on them, so that's good.
very good win, mate. I thought Ronaldo Mortallo was outstanding again, and
Oh,
he
he
he had
wasn't
a
the first 10 minutes, but
yeah.
we'll forget about that. I
Well,
don't know
mate,
what he.
neither was half your squad. I mean, Will Kennedy dropped the ball. Will Kennedy showed me shades of Ben Hunt in 2015 grand final, dropping that ball right in
Fine
front. But
line, yeah.
you know, it's as we said off air. It's the sort of game you get nervous as a Sharks fan because they're the games that the Sharks do lose. But look, credit to them, they won, and it's really good because probably heading into finals, you know, everyone talks about the Sharks being flat track bullies. They always beat the lower teams and they struggle against the top eight. This year they haven't done too bad. I thought they've done pretty well against
They've
top eight
done
teams this
better.
year.
Yeah, they've done better against the better teams. They're losing
Yeah.
the games they should be winning.
Which is sort of like you know you want to be competing against the top teams as well. So that is really good. How deep they go remains to be seen. It depends on where they finish. If they finish between that fifth to eighth spot, be interesting if they get past first week. They don't have a great record of getting past the first week of finals. So and if
Oh,
they
they
do
did. They
finish
did
sixth.
2016, but
Yeah, apart from then, if they do finish sixth, they'll have to take on Penrith the first week of finals. So that'll be a really really tough game. Penrith will be up for that. So if Sharks can win, that'd be great. But look, it remains to be seen. But credit to them, they had a fantastic game in this one. The Knights, on the other hand, another woeful performance, another woeful outing from them, and their past five games, they've just been absolutely terrible.
how was that
They're
hit from Kennedy?
oh
Hmm. You'll put a
mate,
report for it.
yeah. Look,
Yeah,
I I,
because
I,
even when I
I I
saw it
actually didn't
live, I
mind it.
thought
I
it
thought it was a great hit.
Well, it was a good hit, but at the same time, like when I saw it in like live in normal time, even I
Mm.
like cringed a bit. I was like, "Oh, that was a bit." And how you
Do you think
going?
you'll get? Do you think you'll get weeks for it?
Nah,
No.
nah. I don't think it
He's
was
got a
bad
pretty
enough.
clean record anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad enough for like any sort of suspensions. But yeah, on the TV, my initial thought was like, "Oh, he's going to get like at least a week or two for that." But
Yeah. Yeah.
looking back at it, I don't think he will.
Yeah, look, remains to be seen. The Knights still yet to concede 50, so they still can win the comp.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
one,
Sure.
with one
Let us
round,
know.
one round to go. Look, Adam O'Brien obviously resigned during the week. He will no longer be there next year, and you can sort of see the flow-on effect that this has had. The Knights were just woeful today. I've always had a real soft spot for Newcastle. I think they're a good club. They've just lacked a marquee player for a long time. You know, they've relied on Ponga for so long, but you can't do it with just one superstar. You need to
Mm.
have three or four superstars in your team. You know, one is not enough. Shout out to a couple of people joining. Arlo Davis, 16. Turquoise Flower, my mother, just joined. Hello, Mum. Welcome to the stream. Uh, I didn't know you were a footy fan, but welcome. Thomas Samforth as well. Welcome, mate. How are you? Thank you for joining the stream. Please drop any comments in that you guys have from this round of rugby league. But yeah, mate, let's jump into our final Sunday game now. Time recording a couple of hours ago. This one finished the Dolphins against the Titans. Uh, Great game here. Dolphins winning 36-30. Now, I tipped the Titans in this one, of course, with the news of Desi Hasler obviously not going to be there in 2026 as well. I thought Titans have a really good chance of winning this game. These are the sort of games the Titans get up for.
Mm.
Quick shout out. Turquoise Flower said, "Hi, Jojo. We love you." Oh, thank you, Mum. Not in public, remember? No, I'm just joking. No, love you too. And Thomas Anforth, hey, mate. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, look, the Titans I thought were really good to stay in the fight in this game. I actually tipped them. I thought they had a really good chance against the Dolphins. But the Dolphins just, mate, they just too classy in the end for the Titans, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. No, the Dolphins played, a pretty good game. Had an
Mm.
all right lead, but Titans, if I got that correct, I don't know. I was watching half of it and
Yeah.
wrangling kids the other half. But yeah, yeah, Dolphins did well. Like, a good win for them.
The Dolphins have kept their finals hopes alive too. So with that
Mm.
win, they sit 18 points for and against behind the Roosters, and one win. So they're hoping if Roosters lose to Bunnies and the Dolphins win by more than 18 points, they can finish eighth and push the Roosters out to
Yeah.
ninth. But if
Okay.
Roosters beat the Bunnies, then the Dolphins finals hopes are over. So they're probably the last sort of team for me that can still make it.
Mm.
When it comes to finishing in the top eight, so it's going to be very, very, very awesome.
How do
It's
you
going to
think
be
the Roosters are going to go against the Bunnies?
well, you know me, Thomas Anforth. Hopefully, we followed the Roosters. I was just going to say, as a devout Roosters man, you know my hatred for South Sydney, mate, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. The Book of Feuds is going to absolutely light up. Mick makes. I said Manly, mate. They need 82 points to win. I'm sorry, they're gone. Roosters.
I'd hate to be inside your living room next week.
Yeah, look, shout out to the family. They probably will not watch it with me.
No,
It's going to be absolutely crazy.
take the kick and
Uh,
run, Reed.
lots of rumours that Latrell and Cam Murray will be back for the game as well. So Latrell against his former club. AJ Alex Johnson only needs 3 tries to break the record as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he has a really, really good game in this. The corner post. Shout out to the Corner Post because great sponsor of our podcast. They said, "Hi guys, hello Corner Post." Thomas
Wow.
Ansforth said, "It'll feel good if Rabbitohs flog Roosters for a final spot and AJ breaks the record." Mate, one of those things might happen, and it's not the Rabbitohs flogging the Roosters. So maybe AJ breaking a finals record, but breaking the record, but he needs to score 3 tries to do that. I don't think he gets one. I think he'll break it next year. I think Daniel Tupou gets a hat trick. But look, it's just the Rooster and me talking. It's going to be a fantastic game. But look, that was it for round 26. Heading into round 27, it's going to be a fantastic round of rugby league. Some fantastic games coming up. Of course, what do you think, Doug? Do you think those top teams, the Bulldogs, Melbourne, Raiders, and Broncos, do you think they rest a few players this week?
Well, it's a hard one. Most likely, I reckon you'll
Mm,
find most teams will rest, a couple of their marquee players. Like They probably have to. I'd
Yeah,
say, like, if they're guaranteed those top spots, then it'd be a bit silly not to.
yeah,
Like
for
I said, if you're
sure.
guaranteed locked in those positions on the ladder, like to finish the regular round, then yeah, I don't see an issue with it, and I don't see why they wouldn't.
I don't think Storm will after last week, after 40-0. They're going to say
Yeah.
everyone needs to be on deck. I don't think the Broncos will because they're playing Melbourne. So I think Broncos will want to have most of their squads. Raiders, I think, will rest players.
Mm,
Luke Melbourne Storm fans said Raiders and Storm are locked in top two already. They certainly are. So I think Raiders will definitely rest some players. Doggies too. I think Doggies might rest some players as well. They are playing the Sharks though, which will be a fantastic game. Your Sharkies need to win, mate, to try and get that fourth position. Hope the Broncos lose.
yeah.
Do you think they can do it?
Look, like we said before, they lose the games they're supposed to win. So, you know,
Mate,
we'll
you got to
see.
have that confidence. Come on, come on.
I'll,
Tell us they're going to
I'll,
make fourth.
they'll make four.
Yeah, there we go.
They'll make
Beautiful.
four.
Love it, love it. Get rid of that negativity. Of
Mm,
course, you know the big game coming up. The Book of Feuds will reunite Roosters versus Rabbitohs. Friday night footy going to be an absolute cracker. You'll either hear from me or you won't. So if you don't hear from me, you know who won. If you hear
Mate,
from me,
I'll hear you from my house, I reckon. That's pretty far.
if you hear from me, it means the Roosters are in the finals, baby, and we're going all the way. But look, until next time, this has been the Ruck Report for another week. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuning in. Don't forget to check out Jersey Day this Friday, the 5th of September. Make sure you get your jerseys. Head over to jerseyday.com. Become an ambassador today for the Nathan Garimo Foundation organ donation. It's very, very serious. So let's talk about organ donation. Check out Jersey Day. Donatelife.gov.au. Of course, our next episode 124, will be dropping tomorrow. We'll be recording tomorrow and dropping this week. So it's going to be an absolute great one. Shout out to all of our commenters. The Corner Post said heaps of Chookie supporters in store today. Of course, of course. I wouldn't expect anything less. Big Makes Art gave us a big wave. But until next time, that's Doug. I'm Joey. Be good.
Yeah.